Say hi, Vinny. Vinny Vincenzo. Hello, my fellow YouTubers. This is Roy back again. Tonight we're going to focus on a couple things. I really can't make this a long video, and there's so much that I want to get into. And I'm going to have to make this short and sweet. I started off making this video with just thinking about redoing my video I did last night in slow-mo, but it'll be in real life. But I'm going to make edge wheel go slow-mo off of this double pole, double throw relay. And we're going into this 14 gauge THN wire. I got two full rolls on there. I think it's like 1250 turns. Not a lot of resistance. I think there's like 0.08 resistance ohms. I do have the voltmeter hooked up to these three batteries, so we're sitting on 34.82 volts, and we're not using anything yet. I do have a compass set up right here. I do have a few things to talk to you guys about, and we'll start off with this one. If anybody has ever grown peppers, I started 6 months ago growing these Carolina Reapers. So I'm working on my first batch of these, and I'll show my plants, I guess, on my next video. And then I also have now the Scully chart for the heat on the Carolina Reapers. I believe is 1.5 million in the Scully chart. So that's, I think, I believe pure capsian, which is the pureness of the hotness that causes the hotness, is at 5 million, I think. And Carolina Reapers at 1.5. And I also have grown a bunch of some chocolate bootlaws. And they're supposedly 2.5 million on the Scully chart. FYI, never grew stuff before. It's pretty cool. From seed, by the way. Alrighty, so back at it. Alright, so this image keeps popping up in my mind. That image right there. Got 3 across, 4 down. Leave your comments on that. So right here, I don't even know what to get into with this. Got some goods in there, and this right here is water with a LED in there to make light. In the water, I have a nice little batch. Water is a great dielectric and also a great reflector. So we're coming off of the spark gap and we're pulsating. This is aluminum tape. It's got paper on one side, and it's acting as one plate. There is a there's the light. There is a coil going down the whole pipe to another roll of tape, and that's acting as the other plate. And I have a heavy-duty 1-inch neodymium facing inward to the pipe. That pipe goes down 4 feet in the ground, and then below it's an 8-foot grounding rod. The grounding rod is copper on the outside, plated, and then it's steel on the inside. It goes down another 8 feet, well, another 4 feet from the 4 feet of the pipe. We'll get into this a little later. I don't really have time tonight, but this is an inductive reactance from the gap with the rate of change, the angle that's going through the wire. And I got a lot of resistance in here. That's why you see I'm using these alligator clip wires. And here's the main resistance panel that we're using. So we'll be connecting one of these wires here to that. And we'll proceed to start the wheel in a slow-mo so you can see the reaction. You're going to see the light as speed picks up a little bit because the light flash is coming into the pipe. And this also has a lot to do with Wilhelm Reich and his orgone accumulator. And what really got me about Wilhelm Reich, I started to study him in 1988. And someone had turned me on to a book, and from there I got caught up into his orgone accumulator. And it was a box of layered of organic, inorganic material. And what we're doing here is I did a test, and it came out in the result that I was looking for. And so this is why you see this layout. Now I got one pipe is copper on the top, and the other pipe is copper with the steel in it, just like the grounding rod. And the ends come out here. And I got a screw coming in one, and one wire goes up and touches the ground pipe, and the other wire comes up and it goes over to the positive side of the pole. So we are using electromagnetic but into light. The light is being reflected off of this dielectric down the tube through that coil to the other bulb setup with its light as well. So I'm bouncy balling the two there, and it is causing an induction in with materials of the ground. Wilhelm Reich's belief was that organic material, this wood, will attract, and this is also known as non-metallic. And your metallic materials will attract, but they also repel. So the thing is, if you had layers of organic, inorganic, you notice here I have another plate on the other side. So I am actually trapping the energy into the double 2x4s. And because the energy is going into through those two pipes, which are next to each other at a certain gap, and that gap is an inductive. So it ain't the fact that the pipes are touching the material, it's more of the fact that the pipes are touching the material and having an inductive field in between the two pipes. And that's through this high pressure, high DC spike. And you're going to get an inductive, you're going to get electrons that are in each material to move through the material. And we're going to look at these materials as layers or as shells, like atoms are designed. So basically, if you take a circle and you put another circle, and then you put another circle, and then you put another circle, and then you put a circle in the middle along with another circle. So here you're going to have your proton, and then here you're going to have your neutrons. Now, neutron, I'll say plural S because in the mix on certain elements, or maybe all elements, because I haven't gone through all the elements, but on copper, number 29 on the element chart, that means it has 29 protons, 29 electrons, and it also has 35 neutrons. More neutrons than protons and electrons. So you'll have your protons all here, your neutrons all here. Then you'll have, we'll call that just the, in a sense, this is coming to me as a vision in a lot of my dreams. It kind of reflects to I lost a piece of paper. It's probably in here. One hand in it. There it is. Down bottom. I was working on points. And basically 1 point makes a radius. 2 points form a line from both points radiating. 3 points form a plane. And then we're going to come over here to these different tetratrons and octatrons. 4 points, you get volume. Then 5 points, you get time and dimension. 6 points, buckle up your 5-point seat belts and hold on, because you're in hyper something. So on this right here, is the octatron. And that's this pyramid with a mirror image. And here it is. But notice there's an unbalance. It sort of reminds me of something I've seen like in Knights Templar or some Holy Cross of some sort, but there's more to it. So back to this octatron. You got your points on there, and you got 12 sides. Actually, 8 sides. I got the wrong one set up. Yeah, that's a dough. That one right there. This one here is the 8-sided. Then you got your cube 6-sided. So we'll get into later about why I'm working on the sides and the points that they bring. It's very important, especially when you're dealing with an induction through matter itself. If I'm looking at this matter being connected to the matter of the ground, then that means that everything that's important where you get down to the atom, and here's copper on how many, well, let's get back to this. It's very important just for the people just learning. So you got your protons, you got your neutrons, then out here you'll have your electrons. Say if you had 2 on that one, and say if you had 4 on the other one, and say if you had 6 on the other one, you start to see these angles start to appear. So I got to thinking, I'm like, well, let's learn about this a little bit more on each element. And the elements I'm referencing to is the elements on the periodic table. The ones I can get my hands on, especially my eyeballs. So if you start off with number 1, it's hydrogen. You go to number 2, it's helium. Then you go over to, number 3, it's lithium, beryllium. And lithium, beryllium, and then over here moves on. Carbon's number 6, nitrogen number 7, oxygen number 8. So when you get into these, you'll see what number they are, how many electrons or how many protons, how many neutrons, how many electrons, and their orbital spin. Very important, because each individual atom on all this material we're looking at, everything you see, it has a lot of atoms. And these atoms will share their electrons. So if you looked at using the ground as an induction source of power, you can look at, for instance, on copper, it'll have, say, shell number 1. We'll call this number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and you'll have a positive and a negative shell, in a sense where I think they run opposite ways in order to do that. Not sure, but it makes sense that it would. And when you put another object over here, say a piece of iron, all right, and it's got its atoms, and pretty much it is number, iron is Fe, which is number 26. All right, 26. So iron, number 26, has 26 protons and 26 electrons. Not sure on the neutrons. I have to look into it. But what I do know about iron is that this copper will share 1s and 2 electrons. Okay? And iron will share 3 to 4 electrons. And the way it works is the same way as water works. This water. If you add minerals to the water, it'll balance itself. If they strip the minerals from the water, it will unbalance itself, and it will try to balance itself. That's nature. So the atom works the same way. So basically, if ring number, they say that I think it's the variance ring is the one that where it shares from. And if there's 2 on that inner ring, I believe that it's the next layer up or the middle ring to where all the rings, all the electrons form, and then they balance their way out. There's a outward on each way. Anyway, what I'm getting at is if you put another iron next to this, close in proximity, don't have to touch it, because it'll balance itself out once you touch it or touch ground. But basically, it'll unbalance one of these elements. For instance, if we put iron up, iron's the greatest absorber out there. Saturator, we'll call it, super saturator. That it will take both electrons from here, and this will make it so we're looking at number 29, and we're looking at copper, and it Cu, so it becomes the Cu plus 1, or it could be a Cu1 plus. And the difference is what, every time you bring that iron up, like this, a nice block of iron, every time you bring it close proximity to the copper, it will automatically, you don't see it, but it'll transfer energy. So there's the energy moving through the matter itself, and you can look here what actually moves. So you got 2 electrons that went over to the iron side. So now we look at the next element from iron, and I'm going to take on, we'll do another video, but it's going to be my 2 favorites, which will be number 82 and 83. So we got lead and bismuth. 83 electrons, 83 protons, 82 electrons, 82 protons. Don't know, since the neutrons vary. Once I look into it, now we're looking at a different part of the spectrum here. So if you look at these atoms and all the elements that are up on that chart right there, just look at them like this, where it starts off slow, goes around, like basically the whole enchilada of the universe, the way it goes. It's basically an atom. I mean, and then you'll have your places, your nodes, we can call them, because all these places around here, all these electrons that are around there, all in position, and you can call those, whatever position they follow, you can call those nodes. And nodes is a place where you have a dipole intersection in between the space, and that space is the frequency set to that atom. Later on that conversation, we're going to look at my Wilhelm Reich setup, and by using the organic, inorganic materials, you can, once you get one spark going, you can excite the system. The system is a photoelectric, as well as I'm utilizing the dielectric between this water and the water below. Lights on both are putting out a inductive reaction that is going from in the ground, which is basically inductively surrounded by aluminum. So the one in the ground has aluminum as not a shield, but more as a reflector. So it reflects out, and that reflection in the ground has an inductive coupling, and that coupling will also come through the organic materials that I have there. Interesting stuff with Wilhelm Reich. Interesting stuff with the 6 sides here. And interesting stuff on that. Interesting about learning about all the elements, because on the Wilhelm Reich setup, it's more about utilizing the energy that's already trapped inside the standing energy of all matter. So I want you guys to leave your comments right here. We got the 35 volts going. Let's go ahead and turn this light down. Don't need that bright one, right? We got that. We got the legit. Geez, let's take this wire. And we're going to connect this. You got resistance here. We're going to go ahead and just snap it. I'm going to put it right here. And I think we should be able to. All right. And then we're going to something loose over here. Got to make sure the contact. Forgot something, guys. Hold on. So we got to take this off. We got to put the light in there so it aims up to the water. Then it goes down the tube. Forget I got my dielectric materials in there. Don't forget the glass is dielectric and so is the water. Alright, so we got our connections here. It's a little rusty, so probably that's got that set up to right there. Let's give it a whirl. And before I flash. That light catches on and the system's charged up. All matters through the dielectric. Now remember, the MIT video shows in dissecting a capacitor that it shows that the dielectric is what holds the energy. It's not the metals, the conductor is what moves the energy. So we're going to display that right now. We're going to take it slow, like my slow-mo. Ready? Only joking. So you can see right here we're at 33 volts. And let's go ahead and get a little small spin going. And you can see our current and our wattage is bouncing. I got enough resistance in here that I can use all these crazy wires, especially with very little resistance on the coils, but you can see we're taxing it big time. So right now let's go ahead and change the resistance, and right now we'll put it over here, and there you can see it stopped on its own. Now we'll see the difference here. We're up to bouncing around on the, I wouldn't even trust it. Amperage, you can see. We're trying to minimize everything going through right now. We're putting a lot of resistance in the system. We're not allowing a lot of electromagnetic force come through that coil, but you can see it's bouncing pulling apart that tape, and it's doing it slow-mo, right? It's gonna stop. It's giving us a great slow-mo. Wow. You can hear me this time. It doesn't sound like that is the best slow-mo I can give you guys and talk to you at the same time. How about that? And it stopped. So we're gonna take a little more resistance off. And that little more resistance right there. Things get a little more constant. Let's go ahead and take a little more resistance off. Give it a little help. So it'll slow itself down, I believe, to the Schumann resonance, because I believe that's what that coil and that inductive coupling that I made is doing. Now watch. Let's go ahead and take some more resistance off. Right now we'll give it a little help, see where it goes. Only pulling almost 2 amps, so 1.5. Notice when it bleeps. Let's go ahead and take some more resistance off. All right, you guys. Peace out. Leave your comments.